These pictures made headlines as the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the G20 summit along with many other prominent leaders. These prominent leaders included Angela Merkel, Joe Biden, and French President Emmanuel Macron. And therefore, it is paramount to ask, what is G20 summit and what is G20? Fortunately, the full form of G20 is nothing complicated. It simply is the group of 20. However, the manner in which the length and breadth of the agendas of the G20 summit has grown is complicated and needs understanding. Therefore, today let's talk about the G20 summit, why it happens and what it does. My name is Ishan Fauzdar and you are watching the Upfront. After World War II, a number of international organizations started springing up. The most prominent one of which was obviously the United Nations. However, the cause of this internationalization would be the spread of democracy and capitalism around the world. Now, one of these international organizations was the G7, a group of the many elite liberal democracies, liberal capitalist democracies came together to form a coalition which was called the G7, and it consisted of the United States, Germany, Italy, France, Japan, and the European Union. However, after the Britain's exit from the European Union, today we have 8 members of, so it's officially G8. Now the G8 committed meetings and conducted summits, and out of one of these meetings came out the G20. However, the specific reason of the establishment of G20 was different. In the 1900s, the international markets were hit by a series of debt crises which began from Spain, then carried on to Asia and then to Russia. These successive debt crises shocked the entire international market, and therefore to bring an order to the international capitalistic order, 20 countries came together to on the basis of financial means to bring back order into the economy, into the international economy. And this is how we got the G20. Now it should be clear that G20 was founded on economic and financial basis, and the initial members of this G20 were the finance ministers of all the nation states. The nation states, the members of G20 are, and this is going to be a long list: US, Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Britain, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, and Turkey. The most important achievement of the G20 is arguably its quick response to the 2007-2008 world financial crisis, and only after this financial crisis the G20 conducted its first G20 summit, that is in 2008. Therefore the G20 was founded in 1999, but the first G20 summit happened only after the financial crisis of 2007-2008, and this summit helped in quick recovery of the international economy after the financial crisis. It should also be understood that G20 is not a formal institution. It does not have a headquarters like the United Nations. However, the G20 summit has successively increased the length and breadth of its agendas. Initially, it was only centered around economics, but today the agendas have gone far beyond economics to counter terrorism, climate change, sustainable development, and many other agendas which are beyond economical scope. Therefore, G20 summit is no longer purely economic. The 2021 summit was held in Rome, and it is important to know that every year the member states take turns to organize the summit in their country. in their state. Now, the 2021 summit garnered much attention, but its results were not very impressive, I would say, because the talking about the climate issue, the final communique of the summit said that it would take steps to make carbon emissions zero by the mid-century, which is very vague and which is not time bound. Now, it is a very loose claim to make, because climate change is a issue which requires more stringent and time bound measures, such as zero carbon emission by 2030 or by 2035, but saying mid century is a very vague claim. Ironically, in almost all other claims that was made by the summit, the claims were time bound, such as environmental protection, where the summit said that it would take steps to halt biodiversity destruction by 2030, which as I said is time bound. The summit also pledged to ensure $100 billion to developing and developed countries, and in terms of health, the communique said that it would strive to ensure the WHO goal of vaccination, that is 40% population of all countries to be vaccinated by the end of 2021 and 70% by mid of 2022. Some economic and financial claims were also made, but they were very vague and not time bound, so I'm not going to mention them. However, you can read the entire communique in the description. I have put a link there to the entire final communique, which is around 20 pages. When talking about India, Mr. Narendra Modi claimed that India was ready to produce 5 billion COVID doses by 2022, and he also appealed to the member states of the developed countries to ensure that they allocate at least 1% of their gross domestic product to green and clean fuels, clean energy sources, because he said that the ignorance of clean energy by developed countries would be an injustice to the entire world, including developing nations. Now, India has been skeptical of the zero carbon emission mark by 2030, and for right reasons, because the developed countries have already taken the benefit of using the fossil fuels, and the developing countries are still in that stage. Now, that is the right reason of India to not adhere to the 2030 emission mark. However, while Narendra Modi said that India is committed to fight climate change, the draft EIA and the amendments to the EIA done by the government portrays a completely different picture, and this picture would be a topic for another video. Thank you so much. If you did like this video, please do like this video, like our other videos, comment on our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and press the bell icon on whenever we update, so that you get a notification whenever we update a new video. Thank you so much.